Hello everyone and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models. It is time for an inbox review. I got this from my local hobby shop a couple days ago. He called me up and was like, hey, would you be interested in this kit? I'm like, yeah, sure. So let's take a look at it. One thing with if you have a local brick and mortar hobby shop, make sure you go and support it. I know that with online, sometimes the brick and mortar ones do have a hard time matching the online prices. But like I always tell my guy, I got to rotate my drug dealers because I got to make sure that he stays open, but I also need to make sure I save some money too. So I try to go there every so often. I'll buy a kit from him as well because just buying paints isn't enough to help keep a brick and mortar shop open. And if you're like me, who have lived in places that the nearest brick and mortar hobby shop is an hour, 2 hours away, 3 hours away, having one in town that you can run to real quick if you need something is very nice. So if you have a local hobby shop, make sure you go out and support it. Every little bit helps. But anyways, back to the kit. This is the Werk Messerschmitt P.1101. This is a 2-in-1 kit. This was a experimental aircraft. It never got to sea service, but from the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool kit. There looks to be some pretty cool paint schemes on the side that we're going to get into here in a little bit, but the box art is absolutely amazing. Nice artwork of in the hangar. It looks like it has an engine and a rocket on a trailer. And honestly, when I watched Masters of the Air for the first time and the rockets came in, I thought that was a little weird. I was ignorant to the fact that I didn't know Germany had air-to-air rockets back in World War II. But before I said anything, I did my research and come to find out, yes, they did have air-to-air rockets at the Focke-Wulf 190s. And I'm not sure if the 109s would carry them as well, but that was pretty cool education for me on that. So done with the top box art, we go off to the sides right here, and we have 4 different schemes to go off of. It's a unknown unit. All of them are going to be an unknown, or both. These two are unknowns. From, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Altengrabau, Germany, early 1946. And then we have the Messerschmitt Research Facility, Ober-Rammengrau, Germany, of early 1945. Then we have Strassfeld, Germany, of spring of 1946. And then we have the Messerschmitt factory of July of 1945. So again, all really nice schemes. It looks like the emblem is going to be broken up in different decals for ease of shipping nation or worldwide. For me right now, it's looking like I will be doing this one from Strassfeld of the spring of 1946. So just off to the other side, copy of the box art, and then we have some nice CAD images of the breakdown of the kit right here with the tail, engine belly, and all that going on right here. It looks like it's going to be very nice. And I do know that Quinta Studios just released a 3D printed interior set for this, so definitely going to be looking into getting that, because the Quinta Studios 3D printed decals really do add some extra nice detail to the kit. Now, opening up the box, looks like we have all the bags that are separately packaged right here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get everything set up and off to the side so we can start going through all the decals, instructions, and then all the plastic. So give me 1 second and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're starting off with the instructions. Sorry about the little part on the side. The side bench I usually put all my sprues and everything when I'm doing these inbox reviews is filled up with sub-assemblies for my B17 build I have going on, so I can't really do that right now. But so I apologize for a little sidetrack right here. But going on to the instructions, we have some nice instruction booklet right here, nice thick booklet, as you can see, and it actually, the way that it's printed, looks like it's back from the 1940s. Some old looking paper, but it's new. It has a magazine feel to it when you feel it. All right, and then we open it up and we have a nice little history about the P.1101, as all on 2 pages right here. And then we have our sprue callouts on these 2 pages. Again, on this page as well. And then we have our decal sheet. We do have a nose weight in this to help prevent it from being a tail dragger. Then we have our color callouts using Tamiya, Mr. Hobby, Vallejo, Atom, and Life Color. Alright, and then we're working on the kit. So it looks like we're starting off with the engine, getting all the engine components done. It does look like this is going to be a very nicely detailed engine as well. It does have a caution point right here for attaching these points right there. And then we're adding in more points, and then I'm not sure what these are. Oh, it's the correct placement or orientation of this kit, right, or this piece right here. Alright, and then we're adding in some side frames and everything to that. You can see there, and then adding more detail parts and piping and all that going on to the engine. So very nice, and it has a nice color call out to how the engine is supposed to be painted as well. Then we're working on our engine trolley right here. Then we have 2 different prototypes that we can work off of. So you're going to have to make your decision on which one that you're going to do at this point right here. From what I can see from the top aspect, it doesn't look like there's much of a difference. Maybe the wing size, and that's about all I'm seeing right now for just a quick look at it right now. Alright, so now we're working on the V1 prototype wing right here. As you can see, getting 2 wing halves together, and then we have more parts for the V1 wing. And then we have our flaps right here, cut and trim for versions, yeah, we'll have to see, oh, for up and down right here. So you have the raised version right here, and then you have the down version right here. So depending on which version you're doing, or what tabs you're going to cut off. Then working on getting those flaps attached, and then your slats going on as well. Then we're working on the service wing. So, and then just repeat the same things with that one. And then we do have our air-to-air rockets right here. Definitely going to be using the service one, because with the air-to-air rockets, those do look really cool on there. Alright, now we're working on the cockpit, armament bays, and nose wheel well right here, getting all that done. Looks like our intake, and then is going to feed in as the bottom of our cockpit right here. Then we have some nice color callouts of our cockpit walls or our side panels right there. Our seat, we have 2 different seat options. We have a ME163 and a ME262 type seat that can be added into this kit. And then adding in more parts through here, as you can see. Then we're adding in our metal nose weight in this point right here to help prevent this from becoming a tail dragger. Then we have our decals going on for our instrument panel, or you can paint it as well. A lot of nice detail going into this cockpit. Then we have some other parts for our V1 prototype that is going on here. We have our guns going in, and some more detail along with our engine, fuselage center section, and more detail parts going into there. And then we have our wheels going on. Looks like we have a 2-part wheel, and then our hubs going on after that. So looks like we'll be able to paint the wheels separate and then add in our hubs afterwards, which is a nice touch. Then we have our landing gear. Let me get you back on camera. Sorry about that. Adding more supports for our landing gear. Then we're adding our front section in. As you can see, we have all this detail going on. Same thing, just adding in more detail. We're getting our 2 fuselage halves together at this point, and then we have a ring that goes on top of the cockpit right there. Now we're adding in our tail assembly, getting that all done. Landing gear doors. Then adding in our wheels, and then it looks like we're going to be checking to see how it sets at this point. And then we're adding in our wing spars right here. It looks like we're going to have some decent support on the wing spars. And then we're adding in our engine, getting it all in, and then we have the framing to go in and to add in our belly pan right here. Then we're adding our wings to it. Then some more doors right through there, and then we have some more cockpit detail going on right here, and then we're adding in our canopy parts. Looks like we can have it in the opened or closed position. Then we have our color callouts for our paint schemes right here. This one does look pretty nice. I do like the white with the gray wings on that one, and again another white one. This one also does have the rockets, so I don't know, we'll have to check, but I do really like the camo version. This color scheme I really like on that. Plus you can have the rockets on there and everything, so. And then we have the other one right here. Alright, and then at the end you have a little description of the gentleman who helped design, the CEO, and also who did the box art with Felipe Rodna. So, Mr. Rodna, if you're watching this, very nice job on the box art. And Pete Hallman, we'll see here in a second on the CAD design and all the plastic. But from what I can see, it looks very nice. Alright, so starting off with the decals. Decals do feel very nice. They are printed by Cartograph, so we know they're going to be absolutely top notch on the decals right here. We do have that special emblem that is broken into multiple pieces so they can ship it. And then everything else, we have some seat belts, our instrument dials. Those do look very nice. The seat belts, the decals, you could add them onto some foil and cut the foil and then fold it up, or like I said, get the Quinta Studio stuff, which is going to look a lot better. I'm not sure if HGW is going to have some seat belts for this, but I think I'll have to do some research, but you could possibly use ME262 or 163 seat belts in this kit as well. Then all the stencils in this, they do look very nice. The carrier film is cut really close to the decal, so you're not going to have much of a problem with the carrier film being exposed. And the spelling, I obviously do not speak or read German, so I would not be able to tell you if the spelling is incorrect on this. Alright, so now on to the plastic, and the plastic does feel nice and sturdy, or not too soft of a plastic right here, and there is some very nice detail on here. I'm not seeing any flash or any short shots or anything like that, which is becoming more and more rare with the newer manufacturers and the newer technology coming out with injection molding right here. So we do have some very nice rivet detail, raised rivets on this bulkhead right here, and then we do have two different instrument panels to go off of. One is for the decals right here that has no detail inside the dials, and then we have another set that has all the detail inside the dials as well, so you can decide on whether you're going to use the decals or paint everything. Then we have everything else, very nice fine detail on here. I'm not seeing any issues with anything so far. We have our nose wheel, which is in two pieces, does not look like it's weighted. So that is one small issue, I would say, but I mean, that's a minor thing. And then on the reverse side, again, no real issues. All the ejector pin marks. Okay, so the intake area, we do have some ejector pin marks along here, but they are right in the middle, so they should be fairly easy to sand out. And another thing that you can get to help out with that is this little sanding tool from Despy right here. It is a reciprocating sander, and I mean, it works. Yeah, there we go. It works really well, and it comes with multiple head types to use. As you can see right here, we have all different types of heads, from large curved, small curved, diamond, all types of different sanding heads, and it comes with the self-adhesive sanding paper as well. So I got that off of Amazon, and from the test runs I've done on it, absolutely amazing tool. I don't know how I lived without it. But anyways, going back to the kit, the landing gear, one piece, we do have an ejector pin mark right on the middle there. Again, very shallow, so it should sand out very easily on that. Okay, so up next we have our wings. We have two sprues that have wings on it, right? So this is going to be the upper surfaces for both sets of wings right here, or no, sorry, upper and lower surfaces for one version of the wings. The detail, the panel lines are very nice. There is no rivet detail on here from what I can see, and the tail plane also does look very nice. There is some nice rivet detail right along the back here as well. And you can also see the two different nubs that you'll have to decide on if you're going to have the flaps up or down. On the reverse side, no issues with any of that. Nice thing about the flaps also is that it is one piece, so you don't have to worry about gluing those together. But that's one. Then the same thing on the other one as well. We do also have the horizontal tail plane on this sprue right here, depending on which version you're going to be doing. Again, very nice detail. Panel lines look nice. They might be a little bit exaggerated, barely, and I mean just a hair too deep, but should, after paint and weather and everything, that should dull it down a little bit. Then on the reverse side, same thing as before. No issues with any of that. Okay, up next we have the sprue with our wheels. Wheels do look nicely detailed. We do have some sidewall detail on the wheels, and then everything else looking very nice. Some nice rivet detail on these bulkheads right here, and then with our aft landing gear, again looking pretty nice. I'm not seeing any ejector pin marks on this side yet. Everything else on here, we have our wheel hubs, hoping that those will fit in nicely so I don't have to worry about masking those off. I can paint those separately. Going off to the other side, we do have some wire or cable detail going down here, so our brake lines are molded in as well already, so that's a nice touch. And then we have the other sprue with our air-to-air rockets right here. Again, really cool. Some nice detail on these rockets, some very fine raised bolts or rivets on these wings right here, and then our pylons for those as well. So again, some nice detail painted up. These should look really nice and cool. Alright, up next real quick is just our nose weight. It's nice metal weight. Weighs a pretty good amount, so shouldn't have any issues with that. Nice addition to the kit, so that way you don't have to figure out all the weight that you need to add. Then we're moving on to our clear parts. So not too many clear parts on this kit. We have a couple canopies right here. We have a nice little plastic piece protecting from getting scuffed up or anything like that. And then we have our navigation lights and a few other pieces right there. But all are crystal clear. No issues with anything on that. I mean, that is absolutely no issues with any of the clear plastic in here on any of the parts. Alright, up next it looks like we have our parts for our engine trolley right here, or our cart. Not much to them on the detail wise, so yeah, as you can see, not much to it, but it is there, and I'm sure once it's painted and weathered and everything, it's going to look really nice. And then we have our engine sprue. Alright, so we have our fan blades right here, very nicely done with the fan blades. You get a wash in there and highlight the raise point of your fan blades. Those are going to look really nice. No other issues with anything. All the ejector pin marks, it looks like on the inside, are going to be in areas that you're not going to be able to see when it is all said and done. You might be able to see these right here. I'm not sure. There are a couple after this break point where I'm sure you're going to put something in here. There are 4 more on this side, so a little bit of putty work and sanding, and that should be fine. And then we flip it over to the other side, and looking at the detail on this, absolutely amazing. Bolt detail, you can see the wire detail right in here on all these pieces and all that. So again, very nicely done on the molding of the engine for this kit. Some very fine hosing or hoses to go onto this kit as well. Alright, moving on to our last sprue. This is our fuselage halves and our belly pans and some other detail going on through here. Looking at the fuselage halves, we do have some very nice rivet detail, and our panel lines, they do look a lot finer on this side of the fuselage, both sides of the fuselage, than they do on the wings. So we'll have to check. I'm sure Werk did their research, and I'm sure the panel lines are good. But the detail on here, I'm hoping that the camera will pick all that up. But yeah, that is very nice. And then moving on to this part right here, again, we have some nice raised detail on here. And then we even have some like stressed skin detail in there as well. I'm hoping the camera picks it up right there. Then we have our landing gear doors and a couple other things with some nice detail on that. We flip it over to the other side. Alright, so we do have a few ejector pin marks on here. I'm pretty sure that these are all going to be covered up by the cockpit when you put that in. We do have some ejector pin marks on the inside of the landing gear doors as well. Those should be fairly easy. They are rather shallow to sand out or fill with your perfect putty or your preferred method of that on those doors. And I think everything else is going to be pretty well hidden for that. Now for these other gear doors, we do also have a couple ejector pin marks, but again, they are very shallow and shouldn't be an issue to take care of. The one issue I'm seeing, not sure if this part on the top side is going to be seen right here. Then we have our other horizontal tailplane option right there. Alright, so that's everything for the Werk Messerschmitt P.1101, and the detail on the kit looks absolutely top-notch. I don't see any real issues, minus the few ejector pin marks that are there, but that's just going to be, there's not going to be a way that you're going to have a kit that doesn't have any ejector pin marks. They're all placed in very easy places to get to, and they are very shallow, so they should be very easy to clean up anyways. And now that I've said that you're not going to have a kit without ejector pin marks, I know, yes, thinking back, there are kits that all the ejector pin marks somehow are not on the actual pieces. But anyways, going back to this kit, it does look very nice. Looks like it's going to be a fun build. Looks like it's pretty straightforward on everything. It's going to be different looking on the shelf. This was an experimental, so it never got to see service. But the options on here, they do look pretty cool. And I am thinking that this one is going to be the one that I do. But yeah, so that's where that stands. And I hope you enjoyed this inbox review. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. You stay frosty and happy modeling.